Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom with Kate Olson. As an evolving spirit and change adventure navigator, it is Kate's mission to empower and guide you on your path and inspire your truest passions. She will encourage you to share your gifts, speak your truth, and ignite your inner wisdom and purpose. She hopes to do so with a little humor and grace and her own soulfire passion. Kate talks with amazing guests who have embraced the pursuit and are fanning the flames of their own passion, purpose, and soulfire wisdom. Now here's your host, Kate.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom and Totally Awesome, Try Something New and Talk About It Tuesday. So what I tried this week was I tried some Mighty Mint all natural insect and pest control. And it's pest control spray that's totally essential oil based. Actually, it's mostly peppermint oil. And so I have, being as there are lots of bugs down here, and I do have a pest control that every couple months it comes and sprays outside, but I wanted something that I could use inside that wasn't going to be toxic. And so I got this and I tried it, and it's very pleasant. But I can't tell you whether it works yet because I just tried it this week. So far, I haven't gotten any bugs. I was having a few spiders, is one of the reasons why I wanted to respray inside. So in a few weeks, I'll tell you how Mighty Mint all natural bug spray works. So we have a great show planned for today. My guest is Molly Klipp, and Molly is the owner of Carefree-Beauty Permanent Makeup. And she does, well, she's a permanent makeup artist and an instructor. And a lot of people don't know what permanent makeup is. And so I'm going to introduce Molly and let her tell us that because I think she can explain it best. Hi, Molly.
Hi there, Kate. Thanks for inviting me.
So tell people
what it's about, permanent makeup.
Yes.
Permanent makeup has many different modalities. You can do it by hand, which is soft tap, which is the way I use it for some of my procedures, and it can be done to do eyebrows, eyeliner, lips, scalp micropigmentation. Permanent makeup can also be done for areolas, camouflage, a number of different things that can be done for it, and it can be done by hand or it can be done by machine. What I really specialize in are effortless eyebrows, which is a little bit of microblading, a little bit of powder brows, which gives a combination of both and a very natural look. I also do a permanent eyeliner, and I do lip lining tattoos and the blended lip. I also do scalp micropigmentation, which is for women that have thinning hair. And what it does, it creates tiny little impressions that look like hair follicles. So it takes away that scalp appearance and just makes it look a little bit more natural looking. It's a form of tattoo.
Yes, that's what I wanted you to get to,
Yep.
telling people that, because I've run into a couple of people that actually did not know that permanent makeup involved tattooing.
Yep.
So anyway, Molly recently did my eyebrows because I have low thyroid, and that's one of the conditions that often leads people to for hair loss and loss of eyebrows. Hashimoto's is the type of low thyroid that I have, and that's one of the symptoms of it. And they turned out pretty good. I really enjoy the fact that I don't have to try to fill them in and have, like good and bad eyebrow days.
Mm-hmm.
So can you kind of just give the listeners a synopsis of your background and how you got to your current path?
As anything in life, there's always a path that goes there. When I was younger, I got introduced. I've always been a cosmetic lover. I wore cosmetics. My dad hated it. I got in trouble because I did it too young, all the things that you do. When I was 26, I got introduced to Alouette Cosmetics, and I became a consultant and teaching people how to do makeup. In 85, we moved to Seattle, and my husband and I owned the Alouette of Seattle franchise for 30 years. And I trained thousands of women on makeup and sales and, presentations, things like that. And then in it'll be 7 years ago, I got introduced to Penny Rudy. Who actually became my best friend, my mentor, and my trainer up in Arlington. And she trained me how to do permanent makeup. And within a very short time, I knew that's where the direction I wanted to go. So I sold my franchise, and I've been doing permanent makeup now for almost 7 years full time.
So what do you like best about doing the permanent makeup?
I got an email today from, and this is a great example. Today I just got an email from my client's sister, and the sister had come in, and right now we're all wearing the masks, so all I'm seeing is this, right? And she came in to get her eyebrows done, decided to do her eyeliner at the same time. Her sister was there with her, and I got this. When I finished doing her eyebrows and eyeliner, I just had her lower the mask a little bit, and she's crying. She couldn't even talk to me because she was crying, because she had not felt that beautiful in a long time. That's why I love it, is to be able to give women their face back, give them back their identity. Like you said, thyroid, other issues come down, women lose their eyebrows, and trying to draw them on every single day and getting them to match. When people see what I have to do to measure out, you saw it, how, all the different techniques that I used to measure, make sure everything was even, to think that you can do that every day, there's no way. So to be able to wake up every day and say, I have eyebrows, I have eyeliner, I have lips, there's just a confidence. It just builds a confidence. That's the best part about it.
Yes. So what are, some of the reasons why people choose to do permanent makeup?
They, one, like yours, the thyroid, I call them vanishing brows, and the vanishing brows can be the front, or it can be the tails, the vanishing tails. As we mature, as we season, as I like to use, it's very common to lose the outside of the tail of the brows. And I laugh because I think it's God's way of, making us funny, because he makes them shorter and then the hairs grow up in other places. It's just not fair. But as we season, it is more attractive for a woman to have eyebrows that are a little shorter and a little higher, because it gives a natural lift to the face. So, a lot of women just want to be able to get their face back again. I have professionals that don't want to have to mess with it. I have a lot of athletes that are either doing, cycling or Zumba or running, and swimming is another big one, because then they don't have to worry about their eyebrows. They don't have to worry about their eyeliner. It's all done. It's finished, and they look good all the time. The three categories I always kind of look: professional women like to get it done, athletes, and the third one is that women that can't see to do it anymore. They literally can't see to put on the eyeliner anymore. I did this lovely lady in her 70s, and she would put her eyeliner on and shake. And so she had this big, thick eyeliner. So when I did her, and they were beautiful, she had beautiful blue eyes, gorgeous lady. And she goes, "Oh, I think they're supposed to be thicker." I said, "No, that's what it's supposed to look like." So I did it. It's fun. It's just really fun to be able to give women this whole new opportunity of not having to do it themselves. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I was thinking is, women that go through cancer
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things. If someone is in remission for at least 2 years, I do their eyebrows for free, because that's against a sense of identity. When they've lost their eyebrows, frame the face, and when you don't have any, it literally you lose the function of the face.
Yeah.
The
A
picture.
lot of expression,
The
like,
expression. Yeah, exactly. The expressions of the face. And, women, like you're a blonde. And, I have a lot of women that have lighter hairs. So they're there, but you can't see them. And so giving them, a background of color behind their own hairs, it gives them that sense of, oh, there they are. That's what they used to look like when I was younger.
yes, and especially blondes like me who used to be brunettes.
There you go. And that really is another level because you're
Yes,
usually dark. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So you also do the training. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you do?
Sure. I trained when I owned the cosmetic franchise. I trained for 30 years. And so when I started doing this, Penny Rudy trained me, and she was the most awesome fundamental trainer. And I never really intended on training because Penny did. And, why would I do that, with her? So last year she, went to dinner and she says, you know what, I'm ready to give up the fundamental training. I'm going to do advanced training. So you take it over. And I'm like, okay. And in the state of Washington, in a lot of states, Arizona's another one, California, a lot of the states across the United States and through Europe, there are no regulations for people to be trained to do this, which just sounds crazy. But anybody could literally just buy a license and get going with no training at all. And I have done a lot of work, corrective work, on people who have been done by someone who don't know what they're doing. And I don't necessarily blame these people. They don't know what they don't know. So I teach 100-hour fundamental training. I do it live, I do online, I do it one-on-one. So we can work with the schedule of the individual person. So I'm teaching face shape. I'm teaching eyebrow design. When it comes to microblading, what pattern should be used? Should it be Asian? Should it be European? Should it be combination? What kind of shape are you supposed to have based on a round face or an oval face? Eyeliner, teaching lash line tattoo, how to be able to create a very natural lash line. I teach a whole day on business, of how to be able to build your business. That's what I did for 30 years. I'm a business person, and how to be able to make yourself stand out in the crowd. So it's basically 7 to 8 days between online and live. And my students get to work with me for as long as they want. I've got one of my students is coming up in November that I trained in January, and we're going to have some time together, doing hers and, asking the questions, and they continue to text me, and it's just kind of, they never leave. So that's the one thing I love about it.
So do they need to have a cosmetology or
Esthetician. No.
No?
No. Anybody can. You have to have. Actually, there's really no. Yeah, there's no requirements that you have to have any background at all on it. It helps when people come in, and when I interview someone to come in to be a student, is that they have either some makeup background, that they have some artistry background. Those are the people that I look for. If you're coming in blind with no artistry, no makeup, absolutely no clue what to do, it's a little bit longer process. I have a book that actually I'll show you here, that we start with, and I am a board member for the Society of Permanent Cosmetics Professionals. So we got this big fatty book, okay, with a workbook that they start with, and it literally goes through all of the different techniques and the things you need to know, sanitation, how to do this safely, how to do this, not just the techniques, but to make sure that you're working with each of your clients to give them the best results they possibly can. There's a lot of layers to it.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Washington doesn't have any regulation for hypnotherapists. you have to be registered, and when you do your registration, they ask that you have some background, that you were, trained by somebody.
You'd think so. You'd think so. We've been working, Penny specifically spearheading, and she's gone down, I think, 3 years. She's the one that got Washington State required you licensed in 2010, and she's been working since then to get regulation going that 100 hours of training is required. I just had a girl that came in, just got her certification, and she had paid $2,000 for a 2-day class, learned nothing, got absolutely no hands-on training at all. So she, by the 3rd day with me, she goes, I've learned more here than I ever did in the other class I did. And that's the biggest thing that I always say. If you're looking at doing this industry, do your homework. Do not settle for under 100 hours of training, fundamental training. Do not settle for no hands-on. I mean, that's one thing I'm seeing a lot of is that, with people not doing live training, they're doing all this online training, and you have to pay a lot of money to be able to do this online training with no hands-on model that your students, I mean, when a student's with me and they're working on their model, I'm like right there in their face going, each step, here's the strokes, this is where we start. It's important to be able to have that, and there's not a lot of people who do it.
Yes, I have to say, from knowing what you did to me, I would hate to have somebody with that all they did was watch online training.
Happens all the time, Kate. Happens all the time. I had a lady come in and had gotten her eyebrows, and she's more seasoned, probably more my age, and she had gotten her eyebrows microbladed by a new technician who brand new to it, and gave her these big old fatty eyebrows microblading. Now, there are some people that are not good candidates for microblading. There's a certain type of skin that don't do well with microblading. This lady had no business getting microblading done, and she didn't know any better. She was just listening to the girl. I had to do removal on her first, lightening on it, and then redid them smaller. She loved them. She cried by the end of it, going, this is what I was looking for. So, it's important.
Yeah, I can see that, especially, one thing I realized is just like a tiny line, one way or another can make so much difference.
Yep. Yep.
So,
and just the measurement. I had a lady come to me one time who has alopecia, which, has no body hair, no hair at all. And she had gotten her eyebrows tattooed and came in, and one was literally 1/2 inch higher than the other. And I asked her, I said, you do realize that one of them's a 1/2 inch higher? And she goes, I knew it. My husband said they weren't. So we had to do some removal on her first and then redid them. Oh my gosh, she turned out beautiful. I ended up doing her eyeliner. She was so excited. It turned out beautiful. It was really fun.
So, what is SMP, and who do you help with that?
Okay, so scalp micropigmentation, I am certified to do women with thinning hair. This next 2021, I'll get certified to do guys as well. But what it is that for women that are dealing with thinning hair, and it could be one of my clients I worked on has rheumatoid arthritis, and the medication that she has created her hair to be very thin. And women's hair generally will thin like in the crown area here, and then back just to right around here. This is where generally they thin. They don't necessarily lose their hair here, but it's through here. And so using a machine, I use a machine with that, with a single needle, basically creating very tiny ink, using ink, literal tiny little tattoo dots throughout the whole head. And it's a process. It'll generally take between 2 to 3 hours per session. It'll take generally 2 to 3 sessions to do. So it's probably about 10 hours by the time you're all done, between the consultation and getting it all done. The nice thing about that is it's virtually pain-free. We don't use numbing on the scalp. And I have everything done. I've got brows, eyeliner, lips. I've had the scalp micropigmentation done on me because I won't do anything on somebody else unless I've had it. I want to know what it feel like. So the pain level up here is like virtually nothing. So you can work for a long period of time. But for women that are dealing with scalp showing, really good candidate for this is somebody who usually uses a topical spray to cover up their scalp. They're a real good candidate for this because what it does, it creates that same feeling of fill-in dots that keeps the scalp from showing. And it works beautifully. The lady, the rheumatoid arthritis lady, she cried at the end of hers too. She goes, I feel so confident now, because she was not expecting that as a side effect when she started taking her medication. And that was a big surprise. So yeah, she was thrilled. And I had to do, she was really thinning through the whole thing. It took about 12 hours on hers. So yeah.
Wow. So what type of questions do people usually ask you when they're considering this, or, you know, what comes up most commonly?
The scalp micropigmentation, that question, or any of it?
All of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Biggest question comes up is, does it hurt? That's probably one of the biggest ones, right? Does it hurt? And so, you know, I answer the questions. For the eyebrows, microblading is a little bit more invasive than doing a powder. So I have a very, 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 very good numbing, and I have a number of different types of numbing because everybody's different as to what helps. And I won't work on anybody until all they do is feels pressure. So the best way I can describe it is if you go to the dentist office and they put Novocaine in you and they start to work on you, you know they're doing it, but it feels like pressure. That's what it feels like. And that's what I want to get it to. And I will wait with a numbing on the skin until that happens. And I can reapply numbing as we go. As I'm doing eyebrows and people are interested in the eyeliner, that's a big question. Oh, how do you do the eyeliner with the needles around the eyes? And how do you get to numbing? And so then the eyes are closed the entire time while I'm working on you. Okay. I have a pre-number that goes on the eyes along the lash line. And then using the tools, I etch along the lash line and then reapply the secondary numbing. By the time I work on the eyelashes or the eyeliner, it feels like I'm tugging on your eyelashes. This is all it feels like. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, who was my biggest weenie in the world, when she said she wanted eyeliner done, I said, are you sure? You know, I mean, this is a girl, I had to hold her hand while she was getting her eyebrows waxed, you know, and she said, no, Mom. She goes, this was the easiest thing I've ever had done. And she's had it done 3 times because she kept wanting it thicker. I'm very conservative when I start with somebody, so I'm always making sure that we do baby steps. Eyeliner and lips people are fascinated by the lips because their concern is being really, really, how's that going to feel at that? And with the lips, I have a prescriptive numbing that I use so that you're really feeling pressure on that part. And I also do the lips with machine as well because I find it's a little bit more comfortable with the clients. Biggest question is the pain level. I'm not going to say that it's totally pain-free, but I will say that it's better than giving birth. Okay. And it's I know I've had 4 kids, so I know. But it is something that it's a small time. It's a small frame of time that they get the uncomfortable part. But the benefits afterwards, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have to even think about this anymore. It's awesome.
Okay, so how do some people like have negative reactions? Have you had that happen?
You know, that's a really good question. If people come in and they have allergies and they're concerned about it, I actually, on one of my consent forms, there's a waive, do you want to get tested? And I've had people get tested, not just for the pigment that I use, but for the numbing products I use. In one of my products, there's epinephrine gel. And so I had a lady who has her heart races if she goes to epinephrine gel on it. So knowing that, I have to make sure I use a different numbing product that doesn't have epinephrine gel in it. But when I test, I usually test behind the ear. Sometimes if it's the face that they're concerned about, I might put a little bit in the eyebrow, not enough that it will show up, but enough that we can find out if it works for them or not. Okay. So there is a testing process. I haven't had, if people follow my aftercare, and I give you very strict instructions how to do aftercare and a packet that goes with you, you've seen it. As long as you're following my aftercare, making sure that you're not going in a hot tub, you don't go swimming for 7 days. This is a 7-day window. When you shower to the back of the head, not straight on the face. Don't touch them with your fingers. That's a big one. I don't get people that have the reactions. Some people hold pigment better than others. We always do a perfecting appointment 30 days later, 30 to 45 days later, to fill in whatever needs to get filled in. But for the most part, people hold the pigment really well. Oily skin people tend to fade faster. If you're out in the sun will fade brows and lips very quickly. So you have to make sure you use sunscreen. I always recommend sunscreen on that area. Those are kind of some of those things that people get concerned about. The eyeliner, going back to that question you asked me before about the eyeliner, because the eyes are closed and I'm stretching the skin the whole time, it goes pretty quick on that part of it. So, I'm not looking to elongate all of that part of that process. But yeah, numbing is used for brows, eyeliner, and lips. Scalp, you don't need the numbing on it at all.
So are there any precautions or special care that people have to take after they get this?
Yeah, I always recommend you got to be careful not using glycolic acids or retinol on the products because it can fade the color or even discolor it. So I always tell people to avoid the eyebrows and lips if you're doing that. Sun damage, that's a big one. Doesn't affect the eyeliner so much as it does the brows and the lips. The precautions are generally within that 7-day period of time. Beforehand, for lips, if people are going to get lips done, if you've ever had a cold sore, you need to make sure that you do take the prescription from the doctor 2 days before, the day of, and 2 days afterwards, because you're going to be, I'm going to be stimulating the lips. I know I have to get it done because if a cold sore comes out after you've put the pigment in the lips, it'll kick the pigment out. So you have to be very careful of that. And it's interesting how the different ones heal too. It's always been fascinating. Like I said, because I've had it all done, I know all the different, what happens. So the eyebrows, generally, depending on which technique you're using, whether it's microblading, which can look natural walking out the door, soft powder brow, which is what I have, looks like Groucho Marx for about 5 to 7 days. Okay, I'm not going to lie, it does, but it fades to a very soft, soft powder look. It looks just like powder behind the eyebrow. So it's very natural looking. And then the effortless brow, which is what I did on you, a little bit of microblading with soft powder, which gives you the effect of the hair strokes and making it natural, but also having some powder in the background, which makes it last longer. The lasting, so when they fade, it fades very naturally, very little scabbing. Same thing with the eyeliner, not a lot of scabbing. With the lips, that's a whole nother animal because the brows and the eyeliner, while they will look darker and thicker, and then they will fade and get smaller and softer, the lips, when you go out, they look 100 times darker and brighter and bigger when you're finished. And then the first 5 days for the lips, it literally peels and peels and peels and peels. It's weird. It's just very weird. Mm-hmm. But our lips are very vascular. And so they peel and peel and peel. And 5 days to a week later, it looks like you have no color on your lips at all. And you're wondering why you did this. Okay. And then a week later, some of the color comes back, and a week later it'll come back. So 3 weeks out, it'll actually look, you can tell where the color is, but it's different. It's a different process. Lips generally are 2 to 3 appointments, depending on the person. And if they are getting a lip liner with a blended lip or a full lip, I don't recommend ever doing a straight up lip liner just because it looks weird. And there's different reasons why people do lips. I don't know if there's more information you want to know, but lips fascinate me. I'm finally able to get back into doing them again now because there's 3 reasons people do lips, one of which is if they've got a crooked mouth. And I've had that. I had a young girl come in and she had one lip a little bit higher than the other. And so to correct that, the second reason is if people lose their pigment color on their lips, so that it becomes the same color on their skin as it is their lips, it gives them back the definition. So if you see these little tiny small mouth and then, a larger lower lip, the upper lip is there. It just, you can't see it because the color. So using a fine lip and putting a little bit of blended lip, which is just feathering the color in, is beautiful. And then you've got the other people like me who I like the definition for the lip line, but I also like color on my lips too. Biggest thing I'll tell people though is, keep in mind that it is a matte color. It is not a shiny color. So if you want color on your lips, and you want that shine that lipstick gives you, keep in mind you're going to have to put a gloss over the top of it. The reason I loved it is as I seasoned, my upper lip got smaller. So being able to use a lip liner, and I've always used a lip liner pretty much my whole life, having it tattooed on, I don't need a lip liner. I love that. And just so if I want color, I can just add a little bit of lipstick and I'm good to go. That's my favorite. That's my favorite to do. It also stimulates the lips too. So it actually gives it more of a plump look to it. So, and there's a lip blush that you can do, which is just a very soft effect. Colors are chosen based on what people want to do with that. So whether they want darker or softer or natural. Yeah. Those are kind of some of the fun things you can do with lips.
So one of the things I was surprised about was that you have to tell your medical providers that you've gotten this done and that, if it could affect you if you have an MRI or something.
Right.
Why is it?
With the MRI, and I've had this done, and I asked the questions as I did it, they'll usually ask if you have a tattoo, because what they're looking for is iron oxides in your skin. And pigment, as opposed to ink, ink is what you put on your body, okay, when they're tattooing. Pigment is what you put on your face, and it's a different molecular development on that so that it will fade naturally. But when you go in to get an MRI, they're looking to see if there's any iron oxides. So when I went in, of course, she asked me and I told her, and I said, so what's supposed to happen, if I have this? And she says, well, it might feel tingly. So I'm in there trying to see, going, okay, what do I feel? What do I feel? I didn't feel a thing. So I have to say, with all of my clients who've ever had this happen, I've only had one person out of thousands that actually had a reaction when she went into the MRI, and it went away within, 4 hours, but she got a little swelling on the eyes, but nothing else. And so, but she has other underlying issues that she deals with health-wise, and that probably was a reaction with that. But yeah, it's the iron oxides they're looking for.
Okay. So how, if somebody wants to find out more information about this, and do you do consultations, or how can they find out information?
So there's different things that they can do. I do Zoom consultations. If they want a free Zoom consultation, I can do that. They can come into my salon, and I have 2 locations. I have one in Linwood, Washington, and I have another one in Arlington, Washington. And they can come in and we can do a consultation. No charge for any of these. Most people, what they do is they pretty much know they want to get it done, and they might want to have a conversation with me, and we do the consultation at the same time as I'm going to do the procedure itself. But occasionally I'll get somebody who's a little nervous, maybe has been to somebody else and didn't care for them, and they're testing my waters, which I get. I totally understand. I would rather have somebody come in educated, knowing what they're looking for. But most of the time when people are calling on the phone to me, and they're asking some questions, I can pretty much, let them know what to expect. I always, in my early years when I started, people would call and ask for the price first. And I would always tell them, you know what, before you ask my price, you really should ask my certification and my training, because that really is a more important question. I've gotten over 2,000 hours of training, and I'm an instructor as well. Although being an instructor doesn't necessarily mean you've had all the training yourself. I'm a board member for the Society of Permanent Cosmetics Professionals, so I'm with, that whole industry is all about education. So constantly learning all the time of the different techniques out there, the different modalities. What's the best numbing process? What's the best aftercare? What are the different things that can be done to make the client more comfortable? With this whole COVID thing that went on this year, we kind of laughed in our industries because all the stuff that they're requiring now, all the personal service place to do, we already did. I mean, we always wore masks. We always were gloved up. We always were gowned up. I mean, we did all that stuff. We always sanitized between clients. That was something we did all the time. The difference now is the clients have to come in and they have to mask up and they have to go wash up and, make sure they're all sanitized through the whole thing. I'm kind of laughing going, when I see my clients in the next few years without masks, I'm not going to recognize them.
So this is probably a question you didn't expect. It's something I've started asking all of my guests.
Sure.
So far, what has surprised you most about life?
About life.
About life.
Wow. I've lived a lot of life. The first thought that comes to my mind that things didn't get easier as I got older. That you think through your wisdom and you think through the things you've learned along the way. When you shift gears, which at 58, I shifted gears into a whole new career, you would think it would get easier. Now, I guess the definition of easier is different for everybody. And granted, I know that I was able to walk into this industry easier probably than most because of my background, not only in makeup, but in marketing. So I was able to build it very quickly, but still having to keep working at it. You just want to sit back and relax. Well, if you're an entrepreneur, that's never happening. So, that's going to be life from there. Kids, I've got adult kids now, 4 of them, and they don't get easier. Okay, I'm still their parent. That's never going to change. And there's just different things that happen along the way. That doesn't get easier. I've been married 43 years. That probably has gotten easier. I always laugh and say the first 25 years are the hardest. After that, it's easier. That's easier on the sense because we don't have all the children around all the time. It's just the 2 of us most of the time. So, yeah, I guess that's, I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, but that's, constantly learning, constantly building. I have business coaches teaching me how to do social media. I have business coaches teaching me how to do business. I have other coaches teaching me how to do eyebrows better or lips better or scalp micropigmentation. I'm out constantly getting trained. I'm a learner. I've always been a learner.
So one more question, and that is, if you could leave the listeners with one thought from today's show, what would you want that to be?
Think outside the box. Don't just settle for a paycheck. Don't just settle for what you should do. I know I'm in an industry now that I will never retire from because I love it. I love working on women. I love it. Gives me joy, gives me pleasure. The 3 months that I couldn't work, it was painful, so to be able to work with women, I guess the thing is think outside the box, find something you love to do so you never have to retire from it. That would be the biggest piece that I would say. And it took me 5 years to find what I was looking for. Because I was looking for a long time before I got out of my cosmetic franchise, before I decided to move into this. And I looked at a lot of different things, and this was just the best fit for me. But it took me 5 years to find it. So don't think it's going to be a quick answer. Just keep looking and figure out what are the things that you're looking for? What do you want?
Okay, great. There's some soulfire wisdom for you.
That's
So,
right.
can you tell people how they can get in touch with you if they decide they want to?
Sure. Yep. And you can ask questions on whether you want to become a student or whether you want to get your eyebrows, eyeliner, lips, or scalp micropigmentation. I have 2 locations. I have one in Linwood, Washington that I work out of Salon Zuberance, a great group of ladies right by the Alderwood Mall. And I'm there on Mondays and Thursdays. And then I am in Arlington on Wednesdays and Fridays. And some Saturdays it's on Smoky Point on 172nd. So you can do this a couple different ways. I have a Facebook page that you can find me at Carefree-Beauty PMU, or you can go to my website at www.carefree-beauty.com. See my before and after pictures there. You can actually even book an appointment there, or you can call me at 425-280-2251, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. If you want to come in with somebody to hold your hand at the same time, I am very happy to do that as well.
And I've been to both of her locations, and they're both, very lovely. So.
Thank you, Kate.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being here today and talking about this. I know that it's a topic that a lot of women are curious about and sometimes afraid to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for, being here and explaining everything.
Kate, thank you so much for inviting me. This has been a pleasure. I've enjoyed spending time with you doing your eyebrows and enjoyed time with you just doing this today. So thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. So I want to thank the listeners too for being here today. And we have another great show planned for next week. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what it is. It'll be a surprise, mostly because I had a guest who had to cancel, unfortunately, for a loss in her family. And but I'll have another guest, and they'll be great. So tune in next Tuesday, which is November 3rd. And I think we all probably remember that date because it's also Election Day. And at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And I'm just going to say bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Soulfire Wisdom with Kate Olson. We hope you enjoyed the show. If we made you laugh, brightened your day, or sparked a new thought, we have succeeded in our mission. Join us next time when we'll share more secrets and truths and all the magic of transformation that is the journey to Soulfire Wisdom. Always remember, be fierce in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.